Okay, check this out. This is next level. I want really to ask questions. Anybody that's been doing this, I want you to ask questions if you don't understand. You've got your cup, right? Or any concave surface or object. Okay, you got your cup. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take the top of it and you're going to put some tape over the tops. All right, I'll show you why in a second. And before we do that, for good measure, let's throw the electric wire in the bottom of the cup. Okay, we don't necessarily need it, but it will help pronounce the effect of what we're doing. But you don't need it to do what I'm about to show you. And generally speaking, though, you do want to make electric wire. Okay, so now I've got the cup. I've got the tape on the top, but it's the same cup. Now this tape, as it is going to make a restriction just at the same like the metal did, but much, much less pronounced. All right, meaning that the frequency profile of the emission of the cup has now changed.
You changed it. Yeah.
Okay, but check this out. All right, the duct tape is very thin. It's a very opaque material. The frequency can pass through it. Okay, not that's not to like air, but still it can pass through it. So we use a different material, a harder material. You can use glass for this. You can use plastic for this. You can use metal for this. All right, metal I've noticed works the best for it. So now we've got this cup. We put this metal lid over the top. And I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's a little gap all around the edge of the cup. Let's say about, a quarter of an inch. It would be better, in my experience, if that gap was a half inch, give or take. A quarter to a half inch, 3/8, something like that. But you can see here, it's actually probably about a quarter. All right, so it's a little bit low. But either way, what we've got here now is we've got the cup and the metal lid. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape this just as it is, where there's space, there's a ring of empty space around it. And I'm going to try.
Is that a pickling jar?
The lid is, yeah. But you can, what I use is I get aluminum, roofing aluminum, and I cut these shapes to fit. The roofing aluminum you can buy at any hardware store, or most any hardware store, and it's fairly cheap. They use it for flashing on roofs. Okay, so now what do we got here? We've got, I'll show you the lid. We've got a little gap that you really can't see now because of the way the tape is. But there's a little gap between the rim of the glass and the metal lid. What did I just do? What just happened? I've made a ring of energy, of electrostatic energy coming out of that. Where there used to be a cone, now there's a ring. Why is that important? Well, it's because the dynamics of rings, it's like, imagine someone blowing a smoke ring. They go, right? And the ring comes out, and then what happens? It implodes. It goes ring and then implodes. That's what this field is now doing. It's no longer just emitting a cone of energy. It's now emitting a ring that implodes. We just got our field to do two things. It's no longer one frequency. It's one frequency changing its form and function at different moments of time. All right, we've shaped the electrostatic field emission, which is exactly what they're doing to us when they attack us with directed energy weapons. We've made an anti-directed energy weapon. It's the exact same concept. What's that?
How would that work if you nested one glass in the other, like smaller, larger? So you've got a small...
Well, you just got to think. Okay, so this is the easiest way. That's a great question. You just got to think about how smoke, liquid, and material would interact with those shapes. The electrostatic and magnetic fields are going to follow those the same dynamics, whether it's fluid dynamics, gas dynamics, or material dynamics. Okay, and just to put this in perspective, the more magnetic you make something, the more material like the reaction is going to be of the field. That may be too much for you. So like I'll put this in a practical, right? Like electrostatic is very, it's like the most dense, quickest interacting energy that we deal with. Okay, so what does that mean? That means like to put that in the terms of what we can see with our eyes, that would be like gas or like smoke, right? It's very charged with energy. Like when you go to burn something, right? When something is burning, the smoke that comes off it is incredibly reactive to its environment. That's very much like electrostatic energy. And not only that, it wants to spread out, which is very much like electrostatic energy. In fact, when you're burning something, see, I don't want to get too far into the esoteric. If you want to imagine how an electrostatic field would interact, think about it as gas. If you want to understand how a magnetic field would act, think about it as liquid. Okay? So with that in mind, I could potentially influence this to be more magnetic by putting magnetic material that can be magnetized in this, like say iron, for example. Now let's say I put iron in this cup in the base, right? This whole thing is going to have a more magnetic swing to it, more magnetic rhythm, let's say, right? Frequency, rhythm, whatever you want to call it. If I wanted to imagine how that would interact, I would think of it like liquid, and I would pour this upside down, and I'd imagine what would happen with the liquid. Now, what would happen is roughly the same thing that happens with the smoke, right? The liquid would come out from around the ring, like imagine a very slow-moving shower head with a ring of water coming out, right? And you kind of get the idea of what's going to happen with the electrostatic field or the magnetic field or the etheric discharge, because remember, magnet and electrostatic make ether. So what would happen, long story short, is the field would go into itself. It would implode, just like a shower head with a ring of water being emitted. It would turn into one really slow, lacking pressure stream. Does that answer your question?
So it dissipates the charges that are coming at us.
No. Potentially, yes. It implodes them. It would implode them. It would bring them into. It would form like. And if you think of the material falling out of, like, say, sand, what you would see is that it would bring it into like a Y shape. It would go down the sides and then come together, which is, again, what happens with smoke and liquid. So you get what I'm saying? If you want to know how you can build these fields, think of them as what you already know, gas, liquid, and material, like sand. And you'll get a good idea of what you're going to do. So with this, why it's so great, just this making this ring of emission is, again, it's emitting a ring, and then the ring is imploding. It goes ring, implosion, instead of just a cone. So now when I press this to my body, it's going to create a more complex expulsion of etheric energy that will make it harder for them to balance. That's why I brought all this up. Now they have to look for that effect over time. Does that make sense? Instead of it being in a pulse, it's now over a time period.
Tweet, tweet, tweet. Tweet, 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 tweet. Ooh, 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 ooh.